What's good, everybody? It's Roasted today, LuxGeek, and today I wanted to shed some light on a mostly forgotten Inazuma game, Inazuma 11 SD. I get the feeling this game is a mixed bag for people in the community, going so far as people even ignore and forgetting its existence. And so today I want to go through the history of the game, along with explaining what the game was about, what it went through in its lifespan, and give my own thoughts about it in the end. So if you guys are excited for today's video, make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
What is that? What is that?
Inazuma 11 SD is simply said a gacha game for mobile devices. The game got announced during the Inazuma Walker March edition in 2019, with the release date first being September 12, 2019. However, in the end, the game had to be delayed up to 3 times before finally releasing on January 3rd, 2020. So, besides the game being a gacha, what is the gameplay like? Inazuma 11 SD is played like an ohajiki, which is a traditional Japanese children's game similar to marbles. You have a team of 5, with both teams having one reserve, just like in the DS games with random battles. Each team also has a coach and a manager, which gives the team an additional stat boost and or GP/DP recovery. The goal of the game is just like normal Inazuma, to try and win your matches by having the most goals made by the end of the 2 halves. However, unlike the console games, you take turns moving your characters on the field. Inazuma 11 SD had a decent chunk of content available, so I will be going through the important modes briefly so you guys have a vision of what the game had to offer. First off, we got the story map, which acts as the main content of the game, which you can always play through. These consist out of multiple stages per chapter, which require you to do certain missions to obtain all rewards obtainable, which also includes a random chance to obtain a character dropping from the match, depending on the character featured on the stage you selected. Next up, we got stadium battles. In stadium battles, the player can play against other players' teams in one of the game's stadiums. Winning a match rewards a player with Neketsu points and items needed to rank up figures. In all stadiums, the player can choose between playing against an AI or another player in real time, with the rewards staying the same for either option, functioning as the PvP content in this game, where you go up against actual people in matches. Next up, you got the Neketsu Challenge Stadium. This stadium uses the 100-second soccer battle format and rewards Neketsu points on victory, which you can use to buy stuff like Hitsachu manuals and items to power up your characters. Last off, we got the Victory Badge Stadium. This stadium uses the full PvP match format and drops rank up items based on which rank the player plays. The requirements to play in each victory badge are different and increases as the player progresses to higher ranks. These were all the main content the game had to offer. The game would have limited time events and such with interesting ideas, but in the end it all boils down to what the other game modes had to offer. So, with this in mind and with the plethora of content the game had, what could possibly be so bad or forgettable to the point people really don't think about the game anymore? Now here's where the first cracks start to show in Inazuma 11 SD. Unlike in previous games where if your character had a battle total stats against the opponent, they would win the duel against them, SD decided to bring something else to the mix by introducing the spinning wheel. And you might wonder, what does the wheel do? Well, let me elaborate to you, my dear viewer. It is pure evil and RNG. Basically, whenever you do an action which involves one of your characters going up against one of the opponents, now not only depending on the strength of your character do you win the duel, but you also have to get lucky enough to win this wheel spin. And this is already something bad because you could be 10 times stronger than your opponent and it wouldn't matter because there's always a 1% chance for them to win. Now you might think, but Lux, it's a 1% chance, what do you have to worry about? And while I get why you might be thinking this, my dear viewer, if you've never played the game, I can tell you 100% that 1% can mess you up a lot. I've seen people play a competitive game with each other in the game, which one of the players had a clear advantage, but yet they lost the match to the wheel either favoring the opponent by landing on the 1% spot to score, which in any other Inazuma game would be blocked, or the opponent would be dribbling past you, which again would not have been possible in any other games. And yes, I can relate, I've had matches like these before and I'm telling you, it is painful. And this is where the big issue stems from. What is the point in building your team as powerful as you can if there's always a chance you lose anyway due to random RNG? Sure, Inazuma games also had some RNG involved in power calculating, like failing a shot due to your character not having a high enough technique stat, or maybe you getting a crit in a duel. However, all these instances are not always a thing in every duel, in every match you play, and they don't give you an unfair advantage to the point where you'll be winning matches which you shouldn't be winning. And not only is this an issue when playing matches against other real players, but it also hinders you in other content like the story map, which I mentioned earlier you have missions for. However, again, there will be times where you're doing the challenges and the opponent will get insanely lucky blocking you from doing what you had to do to complete the mission, and it's awful. Next up is the gacha. And if I have to be fair to Inazuma 11 SD, besides the usual practices of a gacha, being that you use in-game currencies to collect characters which aren't guaranteed, I think the game wasn't that bad. As from all the 420 characters in the game, nice, that are obtainable, there are 117 characters which were locked behind gacha. Yes, I counted it all in the wiki, you're welcome. And 5 characters which were locked behind a level 5 account rewards, which was unobtainable for most players of the player base, making it so that the amount of characters unobtainable by just playing the game comes down to around 29%, which I think is respectable enough. Sure, while some characters you have to grind for a lot, I still think it's better that we are able to get them for free, rather than having to rely on the gacha, which a lot of gacha games tend not to do, or at least not to this big of an extent. But even with all these issues, you would suspect that the community would keep the game alive, right? So how come the game shut down after not even being out for a year? Now, let me start this segment by saying that while Inazuma SD was a mixed bag for the community, with most still enjoying the game, it wasn't doing too great with revenue. Now, while I'm not able to provide numbers currently, as it has been 3 years by now since the game shut down, and I can't find any source with the numbers, so the only source I can provide is just trust me bro. Also, there is the fact that the game was a Japan exclusive game, so not everyone would have easy access to the game, which also made it so that the player base wasn't as big as it could have potentially been. However, what I think really killed the game was when there was a glitch in the game. Let me explain. Basically, Inazuma 11 SD characters all got stats and ranks. You would have characters from rank E to S, and to have players at their max potential, you would need to get them all the way up to S rank, which required a good amount of resources, which sometimes wouldn't be the easiest to obtain, or you wouldn't want to risk using those resources to upgrade a potential character, which ends up not being that great. However, around October, there was this glitch that showed up after an update to the game. And what this glitch would do is when you go and invite a friend for a friendly match, you would have an option to either play with both teams maxed out, or with teams being however they are built by the player. And for this glitch, you had to invite someone to do a match with the characters maxed out. But then as the game is sending the invite to the other player, you close the game. And when you go back into the game, the glitch would max out the characters you had selected for the friendly match completely. Now this obviously already is a bad thing, due to this glitch basically making it so you don't need to do any type of content to strengthen your characters. But also due to people making use of this glitch, which already is a bad thing. However, the devs didn't just patch this glitch and revert everything back to normal, but instead, people who they suspected of having abused the glitch got banned for abusing it, due to what I assume is them not being able to go through every single player and revert to how many characters they used this glitch on, as you had people who had maxed out their entire box with this glitch. So now the game has an issue in which it already wasn't doing the best with revenue, but now you also had to ban a decent chunk of players who did use the glitch, of which they weren't able to revert it, making it so that even fewer people ended up playing, as the game was losing more players. Because of this accident, and due to this, I think devs decided to hang the gloves up and announced it on October 19th on their Twitter that the game would shut down on December 1st.
I mean, it's alright, like...
So, what do I think of Inazuma 11 SD? For me, it's a mixed bag. On the one side, I think it was a solid game. It was pretty generous for a gacha game in the sense that you were able to obtain a lot of characters for free, along with the fact that this was something which the Inazuma community for once had communication with level 5. As at this point, Aries and Orion already finished airing their anime, and the Ares game we knew nothing about. So it was a nice thing that we were able to have consistent communication with the company through this game. But then you got the bad things, of course, which I mentioned before, being the RNG which is involved in the main gameplay mechanic, along with how the game went ahead and tried to fix their bug issue by banning a decent chunk of the small amount of players they had left. But even with all of that in mind, I would say that Inazuma 11 SD, while as a mobile game it was average to say the least, for the Inazuma community I'd say that it's a hidden gem. So what do you guys think? I gotta say that even after all these years that SD has been down, it's still a game that I hold dear, even with all its flaws it had. It was the closest thing we had to an Aries game from home, not needing to go to arcades or such in Japan. Did this video maybe open up some memories about the game you forgot? Make sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Lastly, I want to thank each and every one of you guys who stuck till the end. This is probably my biggest video I've worked on as of currently on this channel, as I had to do a lot of research on the game, having to fact check most of it along with all the editing done in the video. So if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one.